The RB-45C, the ultimate evolution of the B-45 Tornado, was specifically designed for high-stakes reconnaissance missions. Operated by a 3-person crew, it boasted a top speed of 560 miles per hour and a maximum altitude of 37,500 feet, all while carrying up to 10 cameras. As the final and most advanced production variant of this pioneering jet bomber, entering service in July 1950, it proved invaluable in its reconnaissance role during the Korean War. However, one of these jet bombers was lost early in the Korean War, shortly after their combat missions began in November 1950. The day was December 4, 1950. In morning, the U.S. Air Force RB-45C Tornado reconnaissance aircraft, tail number 48015, bearing the nickname Focus Bofus, departed from Yokota Air Base, Japan. Operated by Detachment A of the 84th Bombardment Squadron, the mission was crewed by 4 men: Captain Charles Edward McDonough, the pilot; Captain Jules E. Young, the co-pilot; First Lieutenant James J. Picucci, the navigator; and Colonel Jack Lovell. As the reconnaissance aircraft approached the skies above Andong, flying at an altitude of 31,500 feet, it continued its mission toward Mukden, deep within enemy airspace. Its presence did not go unnoticed. Soviet radar operators detected the intruder, prompting the 29th Guards Fighter Aviation Regiment to scramble 4 MiG-15s from its 2nd Squadron. The intercepting flight was led by Captain L. P. Vidensky, with Senior Lieutenant A. K. Kurnisov as his wingman. The second element included Senior Lieutenant N. N. Petrov and Senior Lieutenant A. F. Andrianov. Racing to engage the target, the MiG-15s climbed into the thin air, scanning the skies for contrails marking the reconnaissance plane's path. The RB-45C's return flight from Mukden would be its last. Kurnisov reached the aircraft first, pulling up the nose of his MiG-15 and opening fire. His rounds struck the reconnaissance plane, causing it to descend. As the stricken aircraft lost altitude, the remaining MiG-15s closed in, taking turns firing at the now vulnerable target. Flames engulfed the RB-45C as it began to spiral downward near Andong. In the final moments of the engagement, Senior Lieutenant A. F. Andrianov pressed in for a close-range attack, delivering the decisive blow. The burning wreckage plummeted to the ground, and Andrianov was credited with the victory. Captain Charles Edward McDonough, the RB-45C's pilot, managed to eject before the crash. He was captured on the ground and turned over to Soviet and North Korean interrogators. Retired Air Force pilot Hamilton B. Shaw Jr., whose RF-51 was shot down on December 1, 1950, said he spent about 3 days with McDonough as a POW in a bombed-out prison in Sinuiju, in northern Korea, starting about December 14. He says he last saw McDonough being taken away from the prison on an ox cart, and that he was in such bad condition that it seemed unlikely he could live much longer. Shaw said McDonough told him he had parachuted from the burning wreckage of the RB-45. He later suffered severe frostbite while trying to evade capture in the frozen wilds. When he sought food at an isolated Korean house, the occupants turned him in to the military. Also, a confidential source who interviewed the MiG pilot, A. F. Andrianov, who is credited with shooting down the RB-45. Andrianov recalled being told by the Soviet officer who interrogated McDonough that while McDonough was being moved from Sinuiju, apparently on December 18, a sign was hung on him, U.S. war criminal. A crowd of North Koreans gathered around the defiant American and beat him to death. He recalled he saw only one parachute emerge from the RB-45. Another source said Colonel Jack Lovell was taken prisoner by the Chinese forces, interrogated by the Russians, and then turned over to the North Korean armed forces. He was beaten to death by North Korean civilians on December 10, 1950. The fate of the remaining crew members remains unclear, with conflicting reports about their survival. This encounter highlighted the increasing danger faced by U.S. reconnaissance missions in contested airspace, as Soviet MiG-15 squadrons aggressively defended the skies over Korea and Manchuria. That concludes the story of the first jet bomber lost in combat during the Korean War. If you enjoyed this content, please support us by liking, subscribing, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps us create more high-quality videos.